Welcome to the Food Podcast. The Food Podcast is brought to you by Clearview Federal Credit Union on the Trib Live Podcast Network. We've had so much going on recently at Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank. Although it's not open to the public just yet, we have this new on-site food pantry. It's almost ready to open. It's called The Market in partnership with Giant Eagle. And if you have this idea of what a food pantry normally looks like, you might as well just take a hammer and smash that idea, because this is unlike any pantry I've ever seen before. When you walk in, it's so different. You see frozen items, you have meat, you have fresh produce. Then you have all these other household items like diapers and laundry detergent. It is just a one-of-a-kind place that you'll have to see for yourself at some point. Opening up in about a month or so, that we'll be able to show you a little bit about The Market in partnership with Giant Eagle. Right now, it is playoff season for hockey fans out there. The Pittsburgh Penguins made it through the playoffs. So we have a special treat here on the Food Podcast this week. I know that when it comes to interviews, I'm usually the one that does the interviews for the food bank, but it turns out our CEO and president, Lisa Scales, she's not only good at doing interviews herself, but she's this huge sports fan. You can talk to her about food services and really any sport in the Pittsburgh area. She'll be able to talk your ear off all night long. So while we were running a distribution event, she actually popped in and interviewed Penguin alum Colby Armstrong. And she did not just talk to him about his time in professional hockey. She just went right for the tea, as I call it. She spilled all the tea, talking about what life was like, is like, and then what it was like to be roommates with Sidney Crosby. If you are familiar with Colby, he played pretty much in the 2000s. He loves Pittsburgh, and he's still giving back to his community. So I know I said roommates with Sidney Crosby. I'm going to just get right to this interview after this commercial break here on the Food Podcast. The Food Podcast is brought to you by Clearview Federal Credit Union on the Trib Live Podcast Network.
When you bank with Clearview Federal Credit Union, it's like having the best seats of the game, a parking spot right out front, more fries on your salad, or a drive through the tunnels with no traffic. Choosing Clearview gives you financial solutions for every need, a helping hand in the community, and honest, trusted financial advice from familiar faces in your neighborhood. At Clearview, we want you to enjoy a better life. Visit clearviewfcu.org, open a new checking account, and get up to $500.
Chemo is not free. I have a copay bill for my cancer pills, the water bill, the light, and the gas. So grocery bill is really at the bottom.
Welcome back to the Food Podcast. The Food Podcast is brought to you by Clearview Federal Credit Union on the Trib Live Podcast Network. So many exciting things happening right now. In fact, I mentioned that our own CEO and president, Lisa Scales, decided to grab Colby Armstrong, who used to play for the Pittsburgh Penguins, for a 60-second interview. She really went right to it, got all these questions, and she did this at an event which was so unique. The Pittsburgh Penguins, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, they all joined together for this special food distribution. It was amazing. And while we were there, we were able to talk to Colby Armstrong about all sorts of stuff. So I'll let you take a listen to this interview with Lisa Scales and Colby Armstrong.
Colby, what's your favorite late night snack?
I'm a hot food guy. I would heat up leftovers.
Okay. You were Sid's roommate, right?
Yeah.
So what was that like?
It was awesome. It was great. It was like I was in a close-up look at the beast every day.
And who's better at gaming? Do you guys play any?
We did used to play SOCOM video game back in the day. It was like this kind of teamed up fighting game. Mm-hmm. He's pretty crafty. I'll give him that.
Yeah. Who would win those battles?
I love beating him because he's so competitive that it would drive him nuts. So I like driving him nuts. I'd win.
And what was it like, the team meals? You guys eat, I would assume you ate pretty much a lot of food right before, not right before
Night
the game.
before a game, yeah, we would get together. Our teams were young, so we got together a lot. We'd like to do family dining stuff usually, which led to us eating a lot of food.
And did you fight over who had the last whatever?
Or who had the most food. You usually get ripped on if you eat the most, I think, a little bit, where they'll grind you a bit, because everyone's so conscious about what they're eating, so I could put it down pretty good.
I know that
You can keep going. You can keep going.
there's a lot of superstitions in hockey. What's your superstition, your go-to superstition?
I think just getting dressed the same way, like left skate, right shin pad, right shin pad, and putting your stick, which is a lot of guys put their stick in the exact same spot before every game, in a certain area wherever they decide.
And how about for Sid? We know he's super.
Oh, that guy is a freak. Yeah, I mean, where does it end and when does it start? I don't know, but yeah, he has some pretty wild ones. We used to do a thing when we were roommates of throwing our empty water bottles that we drank in the recycling bin underneath the desk in a hotel. And of course, you have to clear like a slot like this big. So if you got it, it was always like, yes, we were going to have a good game. It was all dependent on the bottle going in the can. Yeah, that's how crazy it was. Yeah.
I love it. Hey, thanks for
Yeah,
being here.
thank you. Yeah, appreciate it.
Gotta love Lisa Scales. I have to mention too that she did this all on the fly. Like, these were all questions that she must have had as burning questions that she was just ready to ask Colby. A big thank you to Colby as well for not only talking with us, doing the interview with us, but also for giving back to the greater Pittsburgh area, for the Three Rivers region. It means a lot to us, and it's a great example for us all to get involved. We actually do have some news on the need for food assistance and what our community is going through right now. So if you stick with us, I'll have more information coming up right after this break on the Food Podcast. The Food Podcast is brought to you by Clearview Federal Credit Union on the Trib Live Podcast Network.
When you bank with Clearview Federal Credit Union, it's like having the best seats of the game, a parking spot right out front, more fries on your salad, or a drive through the tunnels with no traffic. Choosing Clearview gives you financial solutions for every need, a helping hand in the community, and honest, trusted financial advice from familiar faces in your neighborhood. At Clearview, we want you to enjoy a better life. Visit clearviewfcu.org, open a new checking account, and get up to $500.
It was amazing. It reminded me of the part where Jesus feeds the crowd of 5,000 with the fish. That saved our life.
Welcome back to the Food Podcast. The Food Podcast is brought to you by Clearview Federal Credit Union on the Trib Live Podcast Network. So I told you a little teaser about what is going on in our community, and I have to tell you, for the first time since the pandemic hit, we are starting to see numbers increase when it comes to those looking for food assistance. And if you have been to a gas station, you'll see a little glimpse of why. Inflation and housing and employment, it's all really impacting our community right now. And people just need assistance. They need that help with their grocery bill, so they're not sacrificing healthy food. We know healthy food is expensive. Ironic, isn't it? But we also know that when we are able to help somebody with a grocery bill, that frees up money for other bills, right? So we never want someone to sacrifice at the grocery store about the food that they're eating because they have another bill that is just looming on them, or a medical bill, or anything that happens in their life. That's what we're here for, to get our neighbors through every single season. If you are in need of food assistance, you can always call our call center or check out our website. We have this fantastic Find Food tool where you just type in your zip code, you type in your availability, and we just put up this entire list of food resources that are near you, and they're open when you're actually available. So that is all the time we have for this episode of the Food Podcast. The Food Podcast is brought to you by Clearview Federal Credit Union on the Trib Live Podcast Network.